Good evening, Overlanders. This is Rick from Left Coast Overland, and it is Sunday evening. Just got done shooting a little bit of drone footage with the DJI Phantom 4. Taking a look at, I guess this is a Gaviota Beach. So wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about my thoughts and feelings on the Palomino HS650. So when I get to my destination, I'm going to deploy everything, set it all up, and then show you how I've got it set up. And it's kind of my 4-month mark of being in the camper now, pretty much full time. And the things that I love about it, I'm finding very few things that I don't like about it, other than, well, we'll find out. Anyways, stay tuned. We'll take a look at the Palomino HS650. This is my 4-month review. In case you missed it, the 10,000 mile review on the Ram Rebel, the 2019 Ram Rebel, is up. It's been up for about a week. I posted it last weekend, and it's got, you know, my thoughts and feelings on the truck and how I have it set up. I think it's a great rig and I absolutely love it. And right now I'm driving home for a weekend off, spending time with my wife. And some other thoughts kind of came to mind as I've been driving that I didn't put into that video, so I'll put them here. The way that it kind of handles with the camper on it. I don't know if a lot of people are curious about this or not, but it's a talking point. It's obviously very top heavy when I take turns, and I can feel it sway back and forth, but it seems to even out. And right now I'm doing 60 mile an hour on the freeway, and it drives like a boat. I like to describe it as boaty. So it just kind of sways a little bit. I've driven it in high winds. That's not the most fun because it really kills the fuel economy. But even with a crosswind, you know, the truck seems to handle the extra weight of the camper and the high winds with no problem. Currently doing 12.8 MPGs at about 62, 65 miles an hour, somewhere in between there, just kind of floating around. So it's doing really well with fuel economy, with the profile of this very large camper. I think it makes the overall vehicle about 13 feet tall or so. But you know, having the high profile ceilings inside the camper is great, which I'll talk about in a little bit, because it's tons and tons of headroom. And I'm a tall guy, I'm 6 foot, and it's really comfortable for me to be able to stand in there. And then also on the bed, you know, having the high ceiling, I can basically sit up without my head touching the ceiling, which is quite nice. So tons of headroom, which really makes the setup really comfortable for full-time living. What else can I talk about? The pickup. So the pickup, meaning like how fast the truck accelerates. With the weight of the camper and, you know, a modest acceleration, it's still pretty good. It'll keep up going uphill if I want to push the truck, you know, at 3,000 RPM, doing 65 miles an hour, no problem. The truck's got 395 horsepower and 410 foot-pounds of torque, I believe, coming out of this Hemi 5.7 liter V8. So it's got plenty of juice to haul the truck and the camper and whatever I've got in it perfectly fine. I don't typically have a full water tank unless I know that I'm going on a trip somewhere that requires you know, off-grid water. So I save a little bit of weight there, but I've got a full propane tank in the back, along with other stuff here. And yeah, it like basically doesn't even know that it's got a camper on the back, and it just chugs along. The pickup truck does great. So for being a 1500 size truck, it's hauling a full-size camper just fine, absolutely fine. Well, here I am, home sweet home, setting up my jacks so that stabilize everything for the evening and do a little bit of organizing. But I'll talk you guys through the setup and how it is that I've got it set up and how much I like it. Hey, so this is it, right? Pretty okay. I'm gonna eat some food and organize a little bit while I'm in here. Picking up the floor a little bit. I've been on the road for the last, well, it feels like a week or so. This was here. I went up with an aircraft, did some flying, came back to it, and then drove to see my wife for a few days. Now I'm back to work tomorrow morning. So, like I said, been on the road a few days. Trying to clear up my clutter a little bit. Also eat some dinner before wrapping everything up for the evening, because my day starts early tomorrow. But I wanted to talk about the things that I absolutely love in the camper. First being the bed. It's a queen size mattress, plenty of room for me to stretch out. And like I mentioned before, the tall ceilings, you know, I'm basically putting my palm on the ceiling here, and I'm standing on the floor. So that's almost close to 7 feet of headspace. The bed is obviously a little bit less, more close to like 3 feet. There's a little bit of a shelf right there, a drop down, and that's kind of the only spot where I can't sit up perfectly, you know, and not bonk my head. But otherwise, tons and tons of headroom. So no shortage of that in here, which is great. I've got 2 areas here that are set up for storage. I took that old microwave out, didn't ever use it. I also removed the television that was mounted over there. Never used that either. So I've got mostly clothes and stuff stored in both of these. I've got storage for clothes here in this one cabinet, and then these 2 pull-out drawers are set up for the necessities of life, like cooking equipment and stuff like that. So pretty basic. 1, 2, 3 shelves separated for clothing. Pull-out drawer, it's kind of like the junk drawer. And storage for kitchen utensils there, as well as storage under the fridge. I've made very good use of carabiners, so I use the carabiner to hang the bag for trash and then my mugs and stuff. Usually I store a little bit of food underneath here. Speaking of food storage, something that I really love is the refrigerator. So it's just a standard RV fridge, and it runs on propane or on either DC or AC, depending on how you've configured it for your trip. And the burn time on it is awesome. It runs for easily, you know, like 3 weeks on one 5-gallon propane tank that you would normally use for, say, a barbecue or something. So the fact that the fridge can run on cold setting of 3, probably on 5 if I wanted it to, which is really cold, almost an ice box in there, for 3 weeks off of the house battery, which is under the seat here. It's one, I think it's a 120 amp hour battery, and then 1 propane tank. I don't have solar on the roof yet. That's a modification that I intend to do. But the fact that it can run the fridge for 3 weeks straight off of the house battery and a propane tank without draining the battery so far that I can't run anything is pretty impressive to me. That's 3 weeks of off-grid time. Now, in between that time, I drove the vehicle, so I think that, you know, the house battery was definitely being recharged by the alternator. But that's phenomenal. 3 weeks of very, very low maintenance on 1 propane tank. Pretty awesome. So definitely have a lot of good things to say about that. The storage could be a little bit better. I wish I could fit more, but at the same time, it forces me to eat what I have instead of accumulating a whole fridge full of stuff that never gets eaten. So thumbs up on the fridge. What else? There is a little bit more storage underneath this cubby here that I don't put stuff into, that I use regularly. Let's take a look what I got under the sink. So I've got this set up for my cooking equipment. Sorry the lighting isn't perfect, but I have one small pot, one small pan, two small bowls, and a drip coffee thing. I just rigged up a toilet paper roll here on a bungee cord. Rigged up a ring to hold my Scripto lighter. Got a couple of wine glasses, a pint mug, some extra bags, trash bags, a little toiletry kit, and a med pouch full of med supplies, and some extra room. I need to store some stuff there. I set this broom up on one of these command hooks, like so. Command hooks are great. I put some more command hooks on this side for hanging jackets. I've got a little bit of food storage just in some plastic bins that I keep on the floor all the time. Kind of tucks away under this overhang that exists here with the Suburban propane heater, so it's really out of the way anyways. Speaking of the propane heater, there is my thermostat, right? And the little friggin' plastic knobby thing that changes or turns it on, basically. That right there broke. So I just ordered a whole new one that was like 12 bucks. I'll reinstall it, and then I'll pull the black face off the old one. So that's the only thing that's ever really broken so far, other than the window over the bed there was leaking a little bit. So got in and caulked the seal with fresh no sag sealant, and we've been through some seriously heavy rainstorms, been driving in the rain, and it hasn't leaked since, so I've been very pleased with that. What else is great about this thing? It's simple. I re-glued my mirror up, so that's why I've got tape on it. I'll probably take that down tomorrow, but I made good use of 3M sticky tape, like double-sided tape, putting stuff up kind of all around the place. A little camping home pennant. The kitchen area is pretty well set out. I use the 2-burner stove pretty regularly, not every single day, but regularly enough. And then I do my dishes in my work, kitchen sink. So unless I'm on the road, I don't use the sink too regularly. But I have used it, and it's great. It runs hot water. That's another thing interesting. There's a switch here to turn the pump on, and unfortunately I let that run for probably 2 or 3 days consistently. I left it on, and then I left town, and when I came back I heard that running. I was like, oh no. Switched it off. So it ran for 2 days straight. Didn't drain the battery, which is great. Didn't drain the house battery. So I'm finding that everything in here is incredibly efficient. The lights, I've got 3 overhead lights on right now, which is probably too much, but at least it creates a well-lit area for the video right now. I could even turn on more. It doesn't drain the power rapidly out of the battery. And I know it's still hooked up to my truck, so it still accesses power from the truck battery, but I could probably run these lights for 3 days straight without killing the batteries on this thing. So everything is incredibly efficient. Here's my stereo. I use it pretty regularly. It works. I need to replace the speakers. I think whoever had it before me played a lot of loud music, and they're kind of rattly, but they work. They play music. This is great. I just bought an extra long cable, and I plug it into that, and it's just two USB ports up there, so that I can sit in bed and charge my phone while I'm looking at it or something. That's really handy. But everything in it is great. The windows open up out instead of sliders, which is really nice because you can keep them open in the rain if you like. The window shades are great. They come all the way up. You don't have to futz with them at all. And the stairs that deploy in the back are really nice. Those are made by Torque Lift. They're the night glow step. So that's an aftermarket part, but definitely something worth investing in if you're gonna use one of these campers. you need a way to get into them. So having steps makes it really easy. I don't keep the dining table. There's a plug right there that the table sits into, and it takes up this area pretty regularly. I still need to modify the table. It's kind of round, right? And it's hard to shimmy shuffle around it. I'd like to cut some of it down so it's still usable, but at the same point doesn't take up so much room. But for now, I don't need it, so I'm not really in a huge rush to cut it up or modify it just yet. It's got all the ventilation that I need for this time of year. In the future, it may get a little hot. It's Southern California, but for right now, I ventilate it during the day, and then when I crawl into it in the evening time, it's really nice. And right now it's pretty cold out. It's in the 50s. We've had some pretty heavy-duty storms come through in the last few weeks. That reminds me of another thing. The propane heater. It actually works really well. So a few weeks ago, I had taken this truck and set up to a job site where we were working through the middle of the night, flying for many hours. And it was cold there. It was like 28, 30 degrees. And I would fire this thing up, let it run, and it would be a nice warm spot to come back into, to break and relax or rest for a little bit before going back out again. So that was really handy. At the same point, it was nice to have a refrigerator to store food in and everything else while we were working. It was just a really it made the work experience that much better to have your own little warm nook to go spend time in when you weren't actually out working. So the heater works great. I think that was part of the 3-week time frame on the one propane bottle, so even better, right? I bet you this could run 4 weeks by itself if you didn't have other things running like the propane heater and the water heater and the 2-burner stove. So in my opinion, pretty efficient. Actually really efficient. So that's about it. It's a small space, but it's all I need, and the truck handles it perfectly. So if anybody has any more questions about the Palomino HS650 specifically, please comment in the section below and let me know if there's anything that you'd like me to discuss. It's got hookups that I've shown in previous videos on the outside for shore power. It's also got a port that you can hook your briefcase solar system directly into, which I think is pretty great, so that you don't have to, it's already pre-wired, you don't have to futz with it. Yeah, I like the idea of all that. So things in the future that I'd like to install, I'm thinking maybe a 12-volt oven. They're popular in Australia. They're called Travel Buddies, and I think it could fit right under there pretty well. That would allow me the capability of toasting things on the go or while parked, which could be kind of nice. Otherwise, I'm limited to pan frying or toasting that way. I don't have a toaster in here, and I don't hook it up to shore power, which would allow me to run a toaster anyway. So that's a modification I'm thinking about, and then probably solar in the future. But for right now, if I'm driving it at least once a week, which I have been, it charges the batteries in my transit time, and then everything runs for the week. So I have it completely off grid. I don't plug it into shore power, and I can run all the lights I need. I can run the fridge and everything else. So pretty stellar. But hey, I'm gonna wrap it up right now. Thanks for watching. This is Rick at Left Coast Overland. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. I'm happy to answer those things. And if you like what you see, thumbs up, subscribe. We really appreciate you guys following along with this adventure. It's definitely been a big adventure. So I'm on month 4. I bought this in November, so November, December, January into February, and it's been paying off so far. So please keep following along. I'll keep on putting out videos as things come up. I'm not I'm busy. This is a busy time of the year for me, but that's okay. This allows me the opportunity to kind of take my mind off of other things and share my experiences with you guys. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate you guys following me. We'll see you next time.